morning students, welcome back to class 12 and Alchemy online education. In our last video, we have seen our syllabus and marking schemes. So you know which chapter contains what weightage for your board exam. The most important from part B is current challenges facing Indian economy. Why? Because it consists 22 marks in your board exam. Students, there are different challenges faced by Indian economy right now also. Let us see what are the challenges, different challenges which you are facing or which you will see in your economic subject. Okay, so these are the different challenges which we are going to study and which is in your portion or syllabus. That there are 6 challenges given by board in your book exam. The first one is poverty. Second one is human capital formation. Third one is rural development. Fourth one is employment. And fifth one is infrastructure. And the last is sixth one, sustainable economic development. So we are going to have all these 6 in detail. We are going to learn all these 6 in detail. They are the different challenges one by one. So today's video will be on poverty. Let us start with poverty. What do you mean by poverty, or what is meaning of poverty? Here, poverty refers to a situation in which individual is unable to fulfill his basic needs. What are the basic needs? I know you already know it. That is food, cloth and shelter, even education. All this is to be covered by a person. If he is not able to have all these things, he is unable to fulfill these needs, that comes under a poverty. Very simple. Poverty means a person who is not able to have the basic needs. That is food, cloth, shelter, education. Okay. Now, after seeing what is poverty, let us know what are the measures of poverty. There are 2 important measures, that is relative and absolute. But the more importance in board exam is been on absolute. But let us understand both the things. The first one is relative poverty. What actually the relative poverty is? It refers to the poverty of people in comparison to other people, other region or other country or nation. For example, if 2 students or 2 persons are compared and find out which one is more poor, to find out who is the poor person among the both, that is a comparison, that is relative poverty. And we can say if 2 countries are being compared, India is compared with Pakistan or any other country, then there will be a comparison even with America. Any 2 countries are compared, that is called as relative poverty, where the comparison is done. Then next is absolute poverty. That is the second measure. Now what it refers? It refers to the total number of people living below the poverty line. Now you know India is the second largest country in the population after China. But how we calculate this, that India is the second, or how many people are poor, how we consider it, how do we find it out? That the government has made it very clear, the people who are below the poverty line. That means there is a line which is decided by the government, and if people comes below the poverty line, that is, people are called as absolutely poor or absolute poverty. Now the question arises, what do you mean by the poverty line? Now we will see what is poverty line. It refers to a line which divides the population into 2 parts, that is poor and non-poor. It is also called as cut-off point. Now understand, if there is a particular criteria, or when we say line, that means cut-off line or a poverty line, the government has divided the whole population into 2 parts. One part is poor and the other part is non-poor. Now poor and non-poor are the 2 categories decided by the government. So whoever is below the poverty line will be considered as a poor person, and the people who are above the poverty line will be considered as non-poor. Now, there are certain categories even in poverty, how it is decided, the categories by the government. There are three categories. The first one is chronic, second one is transit, and the third one is non-poor. Let us go one by one and understand it. What is chronic? Chronic poverty. It refers to a people who are always poor and those who are usually poor. That means the people who are always poor, they do not come above the poverty line. They don't get the income or any source from where they get money and their standard of living increases or they become rich. That means usually they are on the same platform. That means they are always poor. That is called as chronic poverty. Then second comes, that is transient. Now what is transient poverty? It refers to a people who regularly moves in and out of poverty line. That means sometimes they are above the poverty line, sometimes they are below the poverty line. How it happens? For example, a small farmer or the seasonal worker who sometimes get money and sometimes they don't get. Because sometimes they have work, so they earn the money, they get salary, wages, and sometimes they don't have. So when they get income, they come above the poverty line, and when they don't have any work, they come below the poverty line. That is in and out the poverty line. The third one is non-poor. The name itself tell you they are not poor at all. It refers to a people who never comes under the poverty line. They do not come below the poverty line. They are always above the poverty line. That means they are rich. They have certain categories. That means it's been available with them. They are able to fulfill everything. Now how does the government decides? That means the people, how does the poverty line is been decided by the government? There is certain determination and there are 2 points which are given by government. On the basis of that, the poverty is been decided. That means below or above. The first category which given by the government is minimum calorie consumption. Now on the basis of calories consumption, we will decide whether the person is below the poverty line or above the poverty line. And the second one is minimum consumption expenditure. You are a commerce student, you know what is expenditure. That means the income which we spend. We'll go with the first one, that is minimum calorie consumption. Calorie consumption in rural area should be 2400 calories and in urban area it should be 2100 calories. Now why it is more in rural area? Because people have hard working in the rural areas. Mostly they use their hands in working, that is traditional method. But in urban area they work technically. They don't have more exercise to do or more hard work to do. So now the people in urban area work out to reduce their calories. They work out, they walk, all this thing. So government knows this and already they have decided that in rural area the consumption of calories should be more as compared to the urban area. Then second one is minimum consumption expenditure. Now in rural area the expenditure, whatever money we spend, that should be 860 rupees monthly in rural areas. And approximately it comes to 32 rupees daily. Then the person will be above the poverty line. And in urban area, the amount which is given by government is 1407 rupees. Approximately it comes to 47 rupees. This should be spent by the person to be above the poverty line. But it almost comes under this expenditure. How it comes? Your electricity bill, your milk bill, or whatever you needs every day. Okay, that all products, when we calculate daily, it goes above the 1000 rupees. So it comes above the poverty line when you spend this amount of expenditure. Okay. Thank you for watching the poverty. And students, like poverty, this is not the only one video. Still we have to go further with more videos where we are going to watch the causes, measures taken by government to reduce the poverty. In 10th standard, you have seen what is poverty. So you know in detail, you can write in your own words also. But still, if you need to know more details, you can download mycbscguide.com or else stay connected with Alchemy Online Education. Thank you.